Hooked. All right, welcome back, everybody. It's going to be a quick Sunday market outlook. Pretty busy week for Forex traders, not too crazy for index traders. We're still in that relief bounce from the 50 basis point cut. Everybody seems to be optimistic because there was a lot of recession talk up until that 50 basis point cut. And now I'm checking the news, I'm checking Yahoo, I'm Bloomberg, and I don't see a thing. I don't see any mention of the recession. I see, talks about job losses, but they always follow it up by saying the labor market is still strong, it's still stable. So I think we're kind of past the fear mongering over the recession, which is how you know we're probably in the recession. All right. So as far as the states goes, I don't think the Fed would have done the 50 basis point cut had they not seen some problems emerging. And so in the next, probably after the election, we're going to start to see some cracks in the economy depending on what the Fed's path looks like. If the Fed can cut and at a stable pace, so not too quick to panic everybody, but at a stable pace, just as a routine, then I think that they can stimulate the economy enough to dodge the recession, while avoiding inflation coming back. But they really have to avoid political influence and stay on that sort of consistent path, 25 basis point cuts, periodic 50 basis point cuts, but not like a couple bad jobs numbers and now they get very aggressive. All right. The main talk this week is going to be Europe. So they're looking at doing more rate cuts. If you guys remember back in the day, or back like probably 6 months ago, Canada and the ECB were the first central banks to start cutting their rates, which is honestly what I think prompted the Fed to follow suit. I think the reason they did 50 is not like I don't think the economy is that bad to where, the 50 was solely because of some economic data points that they saw. But I think they were heavily influenced by other central banks, and that interest rate differential or the interest rate parity between two central banks can really mess up your trade. So imports and exports get more expensive or less expensive depending on how your currency is performing. And so I think that they put some pressure on the United States and the Fed had to follow suit. So this is going to be pretty important. If they continue on this rate cutting cycle, then I think we'll be fully in the global rate cutting cycle. And we should start to see, honestly, a lot of stimulation around the world. Because if everyone's cutting rates, if everyone's stimulating at the same time, that tends to have a synergistic effect. So this is pretty important. We'll be watching for that. Core retail sales and retail sales are some of my most important data points to watch for NASDAQ. All right. And the Dow Jones for US 30. Retail sales are what comes before uh what comes I'll put this in simple terms. The NASDAQ moves because of corporate earnings. So if a company is making more money, if they're doing better financially, then that stock is going to do better financially. And the underpinnings of all corporate earnings is people spending money. And so what happens, you'll get the corporate earnings reports a little bit late. And so NASDAQ tends to have a lag. But when you start to see retail sales is the most important metric because it's an early indicator of how well the companies are going to do in that season. So we're going to check to see if sales are still up. If people are losing jobs and everyone's panicking in the real economy, you'll see spending come down. Because if you're seeing everybody around you lose jobs, three people that have lost their job, you're not spending the same. And retail sales is typically what takes the hit first. So that, it's a pretty early indicator. All right. Watching this. What else we have? Unemployment claims. This is weekly. But then we have the ECB press conference where they'll be explaining their monetary policy decisions. Crude oil inventories, not too big of a deal, but we have seen gas prices start to fluctuate. First, I saw gas prices come down dramatically over the last month. And then over the last week and a half, I've seen gas prices come right back up above the $3 average. So crude oil inventories, I want to see if they're dumping from our petroleum reserves in order to bring prices down so that they can sway people's opinion during the election. Or if crude oil inventories haven't moved at all, then there's pretty big problem with either production or import from some of our closest partners being Russia, Venezuela, Saudi Arabia. Okay. Treasury currency report. This is pretty big. This is really big, at least for Forex traders. It's going to just be a long report that says the dollar is king. There's a big note on the top to other central banks. Let us know when you need us. Let us know when you need more dollars. Okay, I'm going to do a quick tour around the world, show you guys how some of these trades have been performing. First, we'll go to the DXY, because as I say every week, the magnet indicator doesn't lie. Super secret magnet indicator, can't fight it, can't beat it, can't touch it, can't find it anywhere, exclusively on the Chart Addicts live streams. Come on, people. Where's the dollar bears, man? Where's all these dollar bears that were on Twitter talking about this is it. I told you guys, this is the time. Talk about a consolidating market. By the way, Jensen, you still on here? Wait, one, two, slip, retest, false flag. Arranging market is arranging market. Now this thing could still bleed all the way through, but this buy right here, right back above the range, that's all we need. Hide the meeting. I'm trying to hide this thing that's on my screen. Okay, here we go. All right, so DXY headed up to the 103.7 magnet. I think once we get here, we're going to reassess. Then we'll probably break a bit above. If the dollar's going to continue to the downside, then that's going to be the level that it falls from. But I want to remind you guys that currencies are all relative to each other. So the dollar being strong is relevant, but it's not really that relevant. The dollar doesn't have to be strong for the DXY to go up. Everything else just has to be weaker. Make sense? And so, it's like in the jungle. It's like to survive as a gazelle, you don't really have to be the fastest gazelle. You have to be the best. You just have to outrun the slowest one. It's basically like that with currencies. You don't have to be the best currency. You just have to be the the best one out of the group, the dirtiest or the cleanest t-shirt in the laundry pile. I guess that's the one. So that's really what's happening. If there's a global rate cutting cycle and Europe is starting to cut rates, typically that's bearish for a currency. You print more of something or you make it cheaper to access, the supply goes up, then the value of it goes down, especially if the demand isn't there. And there isn't as much demand for the euro as there is for, let's say, the dollar. Okay. And so Japan, Canada, well, Japan's actually doing the opposite, but no one's really rushing to buy yen. So really it's just Europe and Canada have decided to basically throw their currency in the dirt just because they need to stimulate their economies because things aren't going too well over there. So I think America will still be relatively strong compared to those basket of global currencies. The only currencies that may outperform here in this kind of season here in the probably next 2-3 months would probably be the pound because they have more restrictive policies right now. But yeah, DXY to continue. I do think we make a pit stop and we continue to the next magnet, but everything is we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So that means that the Euro USD trade is still performing. Magnets don't lie. We hit that target zone. Absolutely beautiful trade. Now, I think that we end up creating some kind of support at this magnet zone while the DXY sort of decides what it wants to do. I think that once the news comes out, what is this, on Thursday, I think we end up having like a bearish move or a retracement early in the week, and we're going to have an opposite move after the news comes out. So if we have a bullish retracement here, I know this is kind of messy. Hold on. If we have a bullish retracement here early in the week, in the first two, sort of leading people to start buying, then I think it's just going to be a short retest for the next bearish push. I think if the market continues to bleed during the week, then I think once the news comes out, we have a nice recovery. All right, that's typically what happens on high impact news days. The market leads everybody into one direction, basically accumulating orders in one direction, and then liquidating those orders to basically have people on the other side of a trade. So don't fall for the traps. USD JPY still running. Here's the paper trades that we took. Is the average fill price 141.8, and the current price right now is 149.3. That's 900. That's about 900 points. Or that's about 800 points, excuse me. 800 pips. That's ridiculous. 886 don't lie. Euro JPY, basically same thing that UJ does, Euro JPY is doing, except it's a bit cleaner. If you guys want to mess around with this, Chart Addicts members, you guys know exactly what I'm looking at here. Oh wait, go to the wick, low to high, fake one, retest two, TP, same thing. This is on the weekly on Euro JPY. No matter what you're trading, it's the same strategy. So here, consolidation. Okay, we either get a retest back in for another entry, kind of an inverted head and shoulders kind of situation, or this thing breaks through, comes back in for that retest that we always talk about, model one, and continuation. Pretty straightforward. See what gold is doing. Interesting. All right, well now that we missed that trade, this is way easier. Sometimes missing the first trade saves you a lot of headache. Because then you can just catch the retest. That's pretty tough. So the optimal entries are going to be below this support. So you can scale in from here, and then if it drops a little bit lower, then you can catch another entry, or you can just wait for the wick through that support. Just look right here, 26, 25, where this area is. So that's the previous neckline. So we basically just broke through that whole neckline. Then we have support here and support here. That's why we use zones instead of lines. This whole area is good for buys, but it's a little bit of a, it's a pretty big area. It's like 30 points. So pretty easy stuff. For the sells, same thing, but on the top side. 26.71. But I'll update you guys as time goes on. What's Bitcoin been doing? Yep, I still want one more dip down. I still want to break through the 50s, head down to the 40s, and then that's where all the altcoin opportunities are going to be. I think it's still early in October. We're still ready for that October surprise. I'll cover NASDAQ, then we're good to go. Just as a reminder, make sure to grab your tickets 37 days out from FX Summit 2024 in Dubai. I know you guys might think Dubai is a big commitment, but I guarantee you guys the amount of value you're going to get from the FX Summit is going to be well beyond whatever commitments you have to make to get out there. Anyone who's gone to the summit before, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. And this year is going to be no different. So highly recommend you guys grab your tickets, use promo code Chart Addicts, get 50% off. It's the way to go. So for NASDAQ, Big surprise. We have a consolidation range. Here's my two levels. Buys at the bottom of the range, sells at the top of the range. It's almost like buy low and sell high. They almost like they got something. Almost like they got something there. Someone should look into that. All right, drop a like on the stream. Post this thing up. Um, Smaller time frame trade for NASDAQ. All right, very good chance that we break through this area. I don't think that we hit the buys tonight. I think this is going to be like this real liquidity move is going to be more of either London session, like going into New York, or during New York session. What I think is going to happen here is going to continue to play in this 30-minute range. The market's probably going to break out, come back to retest this area right here. You guys see all these buys. We're not going to go all the way down for the full 886 retest. We're going to probably just do like a Model 2 out of this range. You guys see the breaker right here? All right, so probably do like a Model 2, break back inside the range, and then tomorrow we can take shorts from here. Or if it does a liquidity grab, we can take shorts on the way back in. I know it's a handful, but trade the range, buy low, sell high, and stick to the rules. All right, so right now there's no trade. Okay, over here, there's buys. Over here, there's sells. In the middle, you're cooked. If you choose to trade the smaller 30-minute range, do so at your own risk. All right, because yes, we can zoom in. All right, and this does look like a pretty solid range, but then you realize that you're in the top half. Buys happen in the bottom half, sells happen in the top half. Okay, so it's a high risk trade. Doesn't mean you can't take it, doesn't mean you can't scalp it for the one more retest or whatever you might want to do, but just understand it's a high risk trade. And so size yourself accordingly. All right. Any questions, comments, concerns, anything you guys got? We've added a ton of new speakers to the website. Make sure you guys go check it out for FX Summit. Shout out to Swaggy C, Umar, shout out to KuCoin, shout out to Dr. Olson, founder of Wanda, shout out to Bob, Peter, everybody who's coming. Apex Trader Funding, Dan Chung. We have Gate.io, Bybit, some of the largest crypto companies. Make sure to check us out. Promo code Chart Addicts. Yeah. I want to see where the 5-minute low is right here. This wick right here. And then sometimes I'll do my smaller time frame zones in different colors just to help separate. Like yellow, high importance. Blue, less important, but still relevant. Eighty-eight six got retested again. Yeah, this is probably going to break through. Good call, Jensen. Buddy's locked in. All right, y'all. Have a great night. Have a great trading week. Make sure to stick to your rules. I know it's everyone wants things to happen now. It'd be great for $10,000 just to fall on my lap right now with this trade, but that's not how life works. If you respect the markets and you follow your plans, you respect yourself enough to follow your plans, the market's going to reward you. If you try to cut corners, you think nobody's watching, you think I'm just going to dip my hand in the cookie jar, see if I can just cheat this system real quick, see if I can cut some corners, see if I can just over leverage here and there, you're going to burn your hand on the stove. You've done it enough times to know the difference. It's not fun. It's not sexy. Make trading a part-time thing. But I don't want to say don't give part-time focus. Give it 100% focus while you're there. But the amount of time you dedicate, make it a part-time thing so that you're not constantly obsessed. You go in there, you do what's necessary, you walk away. It's not going to be sexy. You're not going to catch those big big trades and you post them up and all this stuff. You're gonna make your money, which is what your family needs you to do, which is what you need for yourself to do to move your life forward. So do your job, walk away with money at the end of the week and hit that payout button. Cool. Put a one in the chat if we're good. I'll post my markups all week. He says NAS class 2.0 was great. Thanks, Sultan of Pips. Make sure you guys schedule your calls to do your trading plans. I want to make sure you guys are ready before we send you out there to the wolves. Good stuff. Take it easy, y'all. Hit the like button. Peace. All right.